pleasant day to you all. I am Trisha and Moriones, a BSN student of Tarlac State University. And today I will be presenting the research we have done entitled Teaching Strategies Used by Clinical Instructors During the COVID-19 Pandemic, Basis for Proposed Interventions. For the introduction, the coronavirus does not only affect the health of the people but also the educational system worldwide. The pandemic has forced the school closure in various countries and adopted a new mode of learning, which created a problem on internet connectivity and availability of this gadget from at least one-third of the students worldwide. UNESCO 2021. And as of mid of 2020, 191 countries had school closures, affecting almost 1.6 billion children. Because of the school closure, the educational system has shifted to remote learning. Furthermore, the new mode of learning has challenged the schools in terms of the teachers training, activating student support services, and the use of technology, which has become a problem among the countries, especially in the internet connectivity and gadgets. McKinsey and Company 2020. And according to Robosa and Edlyn 2021, found out that during COVID-19 pandemic, teachers encountered problem and challenges, namely lack of resources to coping and resorting to the right communication and limiting knowledge on the technology. Teachers experiences stress and burnout. However, passions, relationship build, and fulfillment of their duty give a positive encouragement to teachers. And given the above mentioned conditions, the researchers were prompted to conduct the study on teaching strategies of clinical instructors at Tarlac State University, which will aid in the determination of the effective teaching strategies and will address the problems encountered that aid in the formulation of programs, projects, and intervention that could facilitate successful learning to the nursing student. And And for the statement of the problem, this study sought to assess the teaching strategies used by the clinical instructors at the Tarlac State University during the COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically, it sought to answer the following question: how are the teaching strategies of the clinical instructors described in terms of 1.1 using MS Team for class discussion, 1.2 collaborative learning, 1.3 asynchronous activities, and lastly, the lecture or handouts. And for the statement SOP number 2, what are the problems encountered by the clinical instructors in using the teaching strategies used during COVID-19 pandemic? Number 3, what the intervention could be proposed to enhance the teaching strategies of the clinical instructors during the pandemic? And lastly, what are the implications can be drawn for the result of the study to nursing research? And we have here the methodology. The study utilized the descriptive survey method of research. The 87 respondents of the study were categorized into two: 29 clinical instructors working at the Tarlac State University under College of Science, and 58 students from second to third level. And the research instrument, the researchers were used a checklist styled questionnaire that were validated by the experts. The questionnaire used a 3-point scale to assess the effectiveness of clinical instructors' teaching strategies. The problem encountered by the clinical instructors were also determined as basis for the proposed intervention. And for the ethical consideration, consent to conduct the study was secured alongside with enforcement of data confidentiality and privacy before and after the conduct of the study. The study was delimited to SY 2020 to 2021. And we have here the data analysis to assess the teaching strategies used by the clinical instructors and determine the problem encountered by the respondents. The following scales were used. As you can see, for the table number 1, scale for teaching strategies, point scale 3, index limit 2.5 to 3.0, means highly effective, 2, 1.50 to 2.49, slightly effective, and point scale 1 to index limit is 1 to 1.49, not effective. And also, as you can see, for the table number 2, scale for problem encountered by the respondent, in a percentage, area, 81 to 100%, always a problem. 61 to 80%, almost always a problem. 41 to 60%, occasionally a problem. 21 to 40%, seldom a problem. And 0 to 20%, never a problem. And result and discussion for the SOP number 1, teaching strategies of the clinical instructors. The teaching strategies of the clinical instructors include the use of MS Teams, per class discussion, collaborative learning, asynchronous activities, and lectures and handouts. 1.1, using MS Teams, class discussion. Teaching strategies using MS Teams for discussion are using video presentation or tutorial to make the discussion facilitate a proper understanding of the subject matter, asking the student question related to lecture, applying interactive activities, drills, and games during the discussion, and letting students report on the assigned topics using PowerPoint presentation discussion with grand mean of 2.97, highly effective as perceived by the clinical instructors and nursing students. According to the respondents, using MS Teams for class discussion is highly effective because it facilitates understanding and encourage the students to participate in the class discussion. And next one, for collaborative learning, teaching strategies using collaborative learning are case presentation on the assigned cases to facilitate critical thinking analysis, assign case study to student to develop and facilitate learning to the student, assign group reporting on the case encountered in the areas assigned, knowledge assessment activities such as formulation of nursing care plans, physical assessment, drugs and its efficacy, simulation activities per group to immerse into actual scenario, giving care to the client with the grand mean of 2.86, highly effective. According to the respondent, collaborative learning makes the learning more enjoyable and promote critical learning analysis among nursing students. And next one is for the asynchronous activities, teaching strategies using asynchronous activities by clinical instructor during COVID-19 pandemic are video demonstration for skills assessment of the student, provision of class syllabus and flowcharts for the proposed schedule of the subject throughout the SEM, providing offline learning activities like answering exercise modules, assignment of journal reading related to facilitate thorough understanding of the case being studied, furnishing pre-recorded video lesson from social media like YouTube, to write a reaction paper, provision of course syllabus and flowchart for the proposed schedule of the subject throughout the SEM with the grand mean of 2.99, highly effective. According to the respondents, asynchronous activities encourage them to be highly interactive, productive, and still focus on learning while offline. And lastly, for lecture and handouts, teaching strategies using handouts include the provision of the additional educational material like portable PDF files concerning the proposed lecture, provision of mnemonics to aid the students in memorizing the subject matter easily, lecture presentation to be printed and facilitate faster learning, provision of checklist for skill demo to keep abreast with the procedure, facilitate the creation of the student handouts and pointers for the study with a grand mean of 2.79, highly effective. And according to the respondents, asynchronous activities is highly effective because it enables them to be productive while offline and can review whenever it's needed. And for the number 2, problems encountered by clinical instructors and nursing students. Among the problems that are always encountered by the clinical instructors were power interruption, lack of interpersonal interaction between clinical instructors and students, technical problems or jocularity, system glitch, too much background noise, and lack speed of internet connectivity. Among the problems that are always encountered by the students were lack high-speed internet connectivity, communication problem, difficulty to adapt to new online teaching environment resulting to stress and interruptions. And for number 3, next one, their intervention proposed to enhance the teaching strategies used by the clinical instructors during the COVID-19 pandemic were provision of appropriate learning materials and extend consideration to the student in the new mode of learning for the enhancement of the student knowledge and upliftment of morale, encouragement clinical instructors to use of alternative platforms for technical issues and problems, and provision of relevant trainings on online application, particularly in the enhancement of computer skills. There are implications emanating from the result of the assessment of the teaching strategies of clinical instructors at the TSU during the COVID-19 pandemic, namely identification of effective teaching strategies can facilitate better learning experiences to the student. The determination of the problem encountered will aid the feasible intervention to address the problems and enhance the teaching strategies of the clinical instructors. And for the conclusion, we have here teaching strategies using MS Team for discussion is highly effective according to clinical instructors and nursing students in the Tarlac State University with the use of video presentation, tutorials to facilitate the proper understanding of the subject matter, asking student questions related to the lecture, also applying interactive drills and games during the discussion. And on the other hand, teaching strategies using collaborative learning is highly effective, which includes assigning case study to student to develop and facilitate learning to student case presentation on the assigned cases to facilitate critical thinking analysis got the highest mean. And the study further revealed a video demonstration for skill assessment of the student is highly effective teaching strategies in the terms of asynchronous activities. According to the problems encountered, the following are considered as always a problem by the clinical instructor and student, namely lack of high-speed internet connectivity, communication problem, audio clarity, system glitch, too much background noises and power interruption, and difficulty to adapt for the new online teaching environment resulting to stress. And there were proposed interventions to enhance the teaching strategies of the clinical instructors during the COVID-19 pandemic, namely provision of appropriate learning materials and extend consideration in the new mode of learning, use of alternative platforms for technical issues and problems, and provision of relevant trainings on the online application, particularly in the enhancement of computer skills. And the result of the study facilitate the identification of the effective teaching strategies, aid in the determination of feasible intervention, address the problems countered, enhance the teaching strategy of the clinical instructors. And for the recommendation, the teaching strategies such as using MS Teams, collaborative learning, and video demonstration for skills assessment should be used continually by clinical instructors to promote effective learning to nursing students during COVID-19 pandemic and the years to come. Next one is blended learning instead of the use of single learning modality should be explored and used by the teachers to maximize the benefits of the different modalities. And next one is the clinical instructors in using the effective teaching strategies must observe the diversity of the student, addressing their concern, learning problems, difficulties, and needs. Using the process, the student may learn to adjust from one strategy to another to gain confidence to perform clinical tasks. The nursing department should strengthen its assistance to the student in the transition from face-to-face classes to online through webinars and other related activities. And the nursing student should be prepared in terms of internet connectivity to avoid problems during classes. The clinical instructor should develop alternative modalities on handling the internet problems and proper interruption by giving exercise and activities. And the Department of Nursing is encouraged to formulate strategic plan focusing on the provision of e-learning materials, provision of relevant trainings on online application, particularly in the enhancement of computer skills. And lastly, for the future researchers, they may replicate the study to reassess the effectiveness of the teaching strategies used by the clinical instructors. In addition, they can deepen the study by comparing the effectiveness of the teaching strategies used before and during the COVID-19 pandemic. And for the acknowledgement, we thank our God Almighty for giving us the strength to finish this study. To Dr. Luzviminda Rivera, our research advisor, Professor Mary Jane N. Rigor, Dean of College of Science, Dr. Joel S. Gilev, English reader, our parents, friends, and respondents of the study who supported us during the conduct of this endeavor. And this is the reference were used in this research book. And that's all. Thank you.